Hey there, macro folks. This is Mr. Hooker, and today we are getting into Module 4, Chapter 14, Money, Banking, and the Federal Reserve System. This is one of everybody's favorite chapters, getting to talk about money. Too bad they don't give free samples with this chapter, right? Although I think the Fed even stopped giving free samples. Used to be you could take a tour of the Federal Reserve. And if they were a branch that had like demolition or anything like that in it, they would give you a tiny Ziploc bag with destroyed money in it. So, like shredded money. And the last I heard, they quit doing that as well. So, like, you can't even get destroyed money from the Fed. Crazy. All right. So, what is money? Money is anything that is generally accepted in exchange for goods and services. So most people just think of like what you see, the picture you see on the thing. It's just a zoomed in picture of a dollar bill. Um, so that's what most people think of when they think of money. But if you could walk into a store, pick out several goods in that store, hand the clerk a bunny, and walk out of that store, and that clerk doesn't call the cops, then that bunny has served as money. That's it, period. Anything that serves as a medium of exchange in general is going to be money. So, so that, so dollar bills are what we consider money. The stocks, bonds, and real estate, not really money. So what distinguishes money from other forms of wealth? Money is any asset that can easily be used to purchase goods and services. So the currency in circulation, cash held by the public, is money. The cash that is in your bank account is money. Cash held in bank vaults, not money. If it is the bank's money, it ain't money. If it's your money in the bank, money. Really weird to think about it that way, right? Um, so it depends on who the bank is holding it for. If they're holding it for you, it's money. If they're holding it for them, not money. So checkable bank deposits, if it's a bank account on which people can write checks, it's money. If it's your savings account, it's money. CDs are money. That's certificates of deposit. Those are money. Now accounts are still money. So the money supply, this total value of financial assets in the economy, they're all considered money. All right. So narrower definition is considered only the most liquid assets to be money. So we'll talk about that more later. M1 and M2. There used to be an M3, but they quit counting that. They quit calculating that one, um, which kind of leaves a void in the definitions, but it's okay. It's the currency in circulation and the checkable bank deposits. Um, the broader definitions includes that narrow definition in what we call almost checkable assets, like savings accounts and things that can be easily transferred into checking accounts, like the what I mentioned before, the now accounts and the certificates of deposit, things like that. So those are the broader, or what we call broad money. So there's three basic functions of money. So if it's going to be money, it has to meet three basic definitions. One, it has to be able to serve as a medium of exchange. So something that people accept as payment for goods and services. And this is what I was talking about with the bunnies. So people will generally accept bunnies as a payment for goods and services. Bunnies serve a function of money. So an asset that you acquire for the purpose of trading rather than for your own consumption, that is a medium of exchange. The second one, and this is where bunnies fail as money, is a store of value. And that is where money is a means of holding purchasing power over time. If you were to get paid in bunnies, Do you know how long that bunny is going to live? Not really. I mean, it may be sick and it may die next week. You can't hold it over the long term. I mean, you would like to think it's going to live for a while, but it may or may not. So it's in your interest to spend it in the next week or two. So bunnies, you can't really count on them living long term. So that's the problem there. So that's the way you don't have to spend your check right now. I mean, like if you give money to a kid and you walk by a candy store or any toy store, that kid's gonna be like, "Hey, can I stop in? Can I go spend my money?" And that money will be gone. Like you cannot give a kid money. Kids do not understand the idea of store value. Just understand that off the top. You probably remember that being from when you were a kid. I remember it from me being a kid. I couldn't even go by the little store down the street. We had a little store about a quarter mile down the road. I grew up in the middle of nowhere, so quarter mile down the road was, as close as it got, and that was the nearest store for 20 miles. So I couldn't go past that store without wanting to spend all my money. Um, and then there's the unit of account that, money provides the yardstick for measuring and comparing values for prices. Um, so this one you have to understand the value of a dollar. You go into the store, you see a price tag on a good, right? So you see that price tag says that that good is $20. You look at the good, you look at the price tag, $20. You look at the good again, and you tell yourself either one of three things. Either A, this good is worth roughly $20. I'll take one. Or B, there is no way in this world that this good is worth $20. I am not buying this good. Or C, this good is worth way more than $20. I'll take two or maybe three. So you know the value of a dollar. You see the price tag. You see the good. You value that good. And you tell yourself, yeah, this is a fair price. I want the good. I'll buy it. Or there's no way I'm ever buying this good at that price. Or this good's worth way more than that price. I want extras. Like, y'all don't know what you got. So that's how that works out for us. So, commodity money, a good, normally thought to be gold or silver, used as a medium exchange that has extrinsic value or other uses that rather than money. So in the POW camps, World War II, cigarettes were also commodity money. This will be your forum for this week also. So ideas of commodity money. So I don't really want to give you a lot of them. You're going to look them up. There are a ton. This is one of the most fun forums for me for the entire semester. It is awesome to see the ones that you find. Um, so people have used commodity money for thousands of years. So there are many, many examples of commodity money. Go out there, have fun with this. It'll be a great week. All right. So commodity backed money, if you have a medium exchange with no intrinsic value, the ultimate value is guaranteed by a promise that can be converted into valuable goods. We were on the gold standard up until the early 70s, I think 72. Um, so we were a commodity backed, we had commodity backed money back in the day. We no longer have that. We are on this bottom one. We are fiat money now. So basically, that advantage of commodity backed money was it tied up fewer resources. A note issuing bank still had to keep some gold and silver on hand. It only had to keep enough to satisfy demands for redemption of the notes and could lend out the remaining gold and silver. My wife actually still has silver notes that her grandfather had. So they were backed by silver. Some people think that the only standard we were ever on was gold, but we also used to have silver notes. And so my wife actually had at one point an uncut sheet of silver notes, and her son decided he wanted to play some Monopoly with it, and he cut the sheet up. So yeah, that ruined the value of that sheet. It's kind of a funny story for that poor boy. Um, Fiat money, it's money whose value is derived entirely from its status as a means of payment. The only thing backing that money is your faith in the government's ability to keep the value stable. The idea is you believe that the government will keep that value of that money relatively stable. It'll be worth, if it's a dollar today, it was a dollar yesterday, it'll be a dollar tomorrow, it'll be a dollar next week, it'll be a dollar next month. So that is what keeps fiat money valuable. Nothing else but your faith in what it's doing. It doesn't use up any resources beyond the paper it's printed on, and the supply of money can be adjusted based on the needs of the economy. The problem is it can be easily counterfeited, and governments can abuse the privilege of printing money. We have seen that and we've got a whole nother thing on that, another chapter on that in a little bit. I think chapter 16 is on the inflation piece. So Zimbabwe, us during the Civil War, us during the Revolution, we all basically just went and Germany after World War One, the Weimar Republic. We all have basically done this, where we just decided, hey, we got bills to pay. Let's just print more money. The problem with that, you devalue the bill you have. You devalue the money you have. Your money is worth nothing, and it causes what we call hyperinflation, which is inflation greater than 50% a year. It is insane how that works. So we did it, the revolution, I guess George and Jefferson, Washington and Jefferson just went down in the basement, printed more notes. They had to pay the bills to France because France was helping us fight the English. And then the Civil War, the Confederacy was also backed by France. You think France would not loan us any more money, but they literally just went, so in that one, the Confederate um, uh, government would go into the basement and literally just print more Confederate notes. That's why those were worthless by the end of the war. And they would pay the French with the Confederate notes that they had just printed. Those things became worthless by the end. Zimbabwe was printing money like they had nothing to it. They got to the point that they had the largest ever bill offered. We'll talk about that later, but it was $100 trillion. Um, you'd be a millionaire, but you couldn't buy a sandwich. Basically all you could buy with it was a sandwich. So it's kind of terrible when you do that. So you don't really want to do that with that. And everybody has probably seen over time the way we have changed our bills to make them more counterfeit proof and more safe. So it's a thing. So the money aggregates the overall measure of the money supply. So we have two measures of the money supply. M1 is the most liquid form of money. It includes cash, checkable, demand deposits. So checkable demand deposits, that's your money in your checking account, and traveler's checks. I don't know who uses traveler's checks anymore, but it's still in there. Okay. Um, so that other liquid deposits uh, is technically like traveler's checks, and there's other accounts in there. Um, there's some other very liquid deposits that are in there. Um, M2 is near monies. So financial assets can't be directly used, but can be readily converted into cash. So it's M1 plus all these near monies. So we've still got the currency in circulation, the cash, the checkable bank deposits, all of that. So money market funds, time deposits, and technically that's time deposits under 100,000. Anything over 100,000 was M3. It still technically is whatever, but it's okay. And that's how it says small denomination certificates of deposit. So small denomination means under 100,000. Um, so that's the way that works. So we'll get back into this in video number 2. Y'all take care. We'll see you there.